Hey, beautiful people. How are we doing? I am Anitra N. Lawson, storyteller, producer, educator, content creator. He is Dr. Andre Evans. He's the chief negotiator for the Evans family. He even negotiates in silence. Yep, that's right, silent pressure. He's very good at that. We are the Savage Siblings, and this is the Savage Siblings podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. So glad you guys are rocking with us for another episode. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of I Got 5 on It. Yep. Is that you? Are you the person who's always willing to contribute, to support the vision, to add to the goal of the greater good? You got 5 on it. So that's what we've been delving into, the importance of reciprocity. We've been analyzing what we bring to the table and understanding that everyone has to bring something, right? So welcome back to the discussion. This is part 2. So if you didn't listen to part 1, put a pause right here, go back and listen to part 1. You got to catch up. Catch up on the art of fair partnership, reciprocity, negotiation, all from the sibling perspective. So we talked about positive and negative reciprocity, because there's a difference, y'all. How we learned reciprocity, because sometimes you have bad examples. Identifying givers and takers. Yeah, that's you. If you're the one that's always saying, can I get, you a taker, right? We laid a lot of foundation in part 1. I want you to go check it out, okay? But we got a lot more to discuss right here, right now in part 2 of I Got 5 on It. So without further ado, let's get into it. Y'all ready to get savage? Good. Let's get savage. I think I thought about it from the standpoint and perspective of relationships, like how I've learned reciprocity is through these relationships. And so for me, I broke it down into a couple of like core relationships. So obviously we talked about parents prior to, but what I think is so important in terms of how our parents teach us reciprocity is, I remember one of our good family friends, like growing up, our childhood family friends, they had a large blended family. And every time I would go over to their house, Dre, I would watch when it was dinner time, and they didn't have a lot of money, but all the siblings would come together, because the mom was at that time, she was a single mom. And so she was taking care of all 5 of her kids by herself. And okay. I watched them all like basically turn dinner time into this like visual symphony where everybody was doing what was their strength. And so some of the siblings were better cooks, and so they did the cooking. Some others were better at setting the table and getting things arranged. Some were better at washing the dishes. I remember I was there as a guest, and I just wanted to jump in the symphony. Like, it reminded me of something out of like Polar Express or something. Like, I wanted to jump in and sing along and move along with it. But I remember thinking, this is something that they, obviously with the circumstance, had to learn how do we all step in and make sure everybody eats, everybody has a space, everything is taken care of. No one should have to carry all of the weight. And I watched that, and it just kept reminding me how you want to be able, I think as a parent, because now I'm speaking from the standpoint of parents, to teach your children how they can, give, how they can contribute. And so in watching that symphony, even though we didn't have that symphony in our house, decades later when I had, my son, I remember thinking about, well, growing up, we never had an allowance, right? That wasn't even just something that we did in the household. But as I was thinking about Malachi and wanting to introduce, financial independence to him and how you can make money, I remember deciding I'm not going to, pay him for something that should be part of reciprocity. So when I talked to Malachi and was like, hey, I'm going to pay you for using your mind, right? So I'm not going to pay you for playing sports. I'm not going to pay you for things. I'm going to pay you for something that I want you to know has value. So I'm going to pay you every time you read and every time you can tell me something. So we have this system where he gets paid so much per page, and then he has to, break down what he understood and write it out. And so before he understood the piece about the reciprocity, he was like, well, why can't I get paid for washing the dishes? Or why can't I get paid for taking the trash out?
Right.
And I said, because your mind is valuable and everything about you is valuable, but I want to sow into your mind, right? And let you know
That's
that
it.
not only
That's
here,
it.
but in life, you can get, you should be valued for the creativity, for what comes out of your mind. But I said, when you take out the trash and wash dishes, that's the way you say thank you to mom and dad for what we're doing to bring in the house, what we're doing to make sure
Right.
that you eat, what we're doing to make sure you have a roof over your head. And obviously we do all that through the power of God. But I wanted him to know that's not a space where you should get paid. That's a space where you say thank you. And that's what reciprocity
That's
is. And so
good.
I said, every time that you take the trash out, what you're saying is thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom, for what you've
I
done
love
here. Every
it.
time you wash the dishes, what you're saying is thank you. And so parents have a wonderful space where I think we learn from them in lots of different ways, whether it's the symphony of that, that are my family friends back in Kansas, or if it's something as simple as the dynamics of should you have an allowance and should you not and what that looks like. But I definitely think from there, friends, because friendship has to be open and honest. Like friendships, real
Right.
quality friendships only exist in the space of openness and honesty. And because it depends on that, that's also the foundation for reciprocity. Even as like you mentioned, you broke it down so beautifully. Before I even know if I can give, right, if I'm going to receive, or who's going to come to the table and who I'm going to invite to this table, if I'm not open and truthful about what's at the table, and if I'm not honest about who I want there or if I should be there, then I don't even have the foundation for healthy reciprocity. And I think when you have
Right.
good quality friends, then that harmony is in place so you can trust to give and receive in a healthy way. And you can
Absolutely.
modify and adjust as that friendship modifies and grows over time. And one of my best friends from Daytona Beach, before she moved out here to Cali, she called to check in, and it was a moment where I was feeling a little homesick. I think I had only been to Cali, been in Cali for like a year,
Okay.
and I was just overwhelmed with just how different it was and just all the stuff I was seeing. I lived in Hollyweird, as we call it, so I was seeing a whole lot. And so she was
Right.
checking on me, and she could hear through my voice, like, it's going to be okay. And she's trying to encourage me. And I said, bro, like a week later, I had a care package that showed up on my doorstep
That's
from
awesome.
her.
That's
And
awesome.
inside it were all these little trinkets from Florida and things that were reminiscent of Kansas. And at the center of it, she was telling me, just keep pressing forward.
Yeah,
You are
that's
your
good.
authentic self here, but in case you get homesick, remember, you're a product of Kansas. You came out of Florida. You got everything you need. You're equipped to, take California by storm, and just keep pushing forward. And it just touched me. But it's because of our friendship that I had the space to
Absolutely.
be vulnerable to
Absolutely.
her and tell her what I was really feeling. Someone else would have been like, how's Callie? I'd be like, dope, it's great. And even though I'm crying at
Right.
night, right?
Right.
It's amazing,
Right.
nothing's wrong. But the friendship gave me the safety to really be honest about where I was, what I was feeling. And that is so critical for reciprocity, because if I don't truly
Yeah.
know where you are, what you're feeling, I don't even know how to add the value. I
Don't
don't
even know
even
how
know
to
what to
give. Don't know how to
give.
give. Don't
I
know
don't
what to
even
bring
know
to the
what to
table.
give. And then that person doesn't receive it because that's not what I really need. But you weren't open and honest about what you really
Absolutely.
needed. So now there's no balance and we're left incomplete. We're left, wanting. And so quality
Yeah.
reciprocity is rooted in openness and honesty. And that's for both sides of it. If you're not
Absolutely.
willing to be open
Absolutely.
and honest, don't expect accurate reciprocity. People don't have glass
Right.
foreheads,
Right.
right? They can't
Right.
just,
Right. Come
look
on.
at your mind and know exactly what you're feeling, and vice versa. Don't necessarily show your vulnerability to people who you don't count as true friends. That's a tenet and a
That
core
part.
foundation for
That too.
friendship,
That
because you're going
too.
to
That
set
too.
yourself up to show your scars, show your dirty draws, right? And you're going to
Right.
get
Right.
yourself hurt. They're not going to give what you really need. They might give you something else. And so friends teach you reciprocity when it's grounded in openness and honesty. And these are the last two things I'm going to say, that I'll kick it back to you, bro, to talk about, how we use it. But listen, I firmly believe, I'm not saying everyone needs to go to college or to the university, but I do believe that every person, as much as possible, should have one semester of living in a room with a complete stranger under the
Stranger.
context of college roommate. I just feel like some life lessons, maybe some fighting,
Lord Jesus.
fisticuffs, maybe all that will come out of it. But I tell you, as much as I learned and I grew and I matured, being a sibling to Andre and being from the Midwest and all my parents taught us, I learned a whole lot more in addition to once I had to have a college roommate who I did not know. And
Right, that
I think
part.
it's for the good. And I think so just being in spaces where you have to learn how to have a harmony, that it's not just your world, that your roommate does care if you smoke inside
Right,
your room
right,
together. They do care that you don't clean the toilet, that you don't need to
right,
stay up all night with the light on. And my brother actually
right.
taught me that my first my literally the first week that I moved to Tallahassee and was just getting moved into my dorm. I think you and we had gone somewhere to get some stuff, and by the time we were headed home, it was like almost midnight. And
Mm-hmm,
so I
mm-hmm.
think you were like, okay, I'll get home. I said, yeah, I'm going to unpack all this stuff and do all this. And you were like, when? And I was like, tonight. And you were like, okay, but what about your roommate?
Right.
And I was like,
Oh.
oh. Right. And this is like the first week. And so I was like, I hadn't thought about her.
Right. At all.
Right? At all. And trust me, the next couple of weeks, I learned how to think about her. She learned how to think about me.
Jesus.
And we
Yes,
figured it
Lord.
out. But I definitely think, and I told that to my stepson because he wasn't always very good. Shout out to Keith. He wasn't always very good at cleaning the room. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
your mama Nee can't wait till you get off to college. You going to get a roommate just as
Right.
nasty. And I tell you, he called me
Right.
about a semester and it was like, Mama Nee, I can't stand. I was like, yep. So now you're learning that process. So definitely
Yeah.
people, parents, friends, college roommates, and lastly, absolutely 100% your spouse, marriage will absolutely teach you. You do learn
Ooh,
reciprocity. So
Jesus.
again, regardless of where you think you
Ooh,
are on the
Jesus.
spectrum of reciprocity in relationships, these types of relationships are going to always kick it a step forward. And the thing that I always say that I had to learn, and I've learned, and I'm still learning when it comes to marriage and reciprocity, is it's always focusing on the well-being of my spouse. Like that is
Always.
the priority that I
Always.
have to put before me. And how can I improve their well-being? And what makes them feel seen, heard, and recognized. And it is harmony over balance because it is not
Mm-hmm.
50-50. It's not 100-100. It's whatever the moment, the circumstance to keep their well-being ahead of yours requires. And here's the idea. If both individuals are doing that, you're going to get there a lot faster. You're going to get to success
You are.
faster. If
You
I'm
are.
thinking your well-being and you're thinking my well-being, we're going to get to where we're going a lot faster. It doesn't mean it'll be easy. It just means that I'm putting you at the forefront. And so if we're doing that, I got your back, you got my back, I got 5 on it, I got 20 on it, you got 37 on it. We got something on it so that we
Right.
can get where
Right.
we're trying to go. And it's the husband taking his pregnant wife to the beach at 1 a.m. when she's like 8, 9 months pregnant, digging a hole in the sand, putting a blanket down because she misses laying on her stomach. It's that.
Right.
So that she can just lay on that blanket, get her belly down in there, and just say, this feels so good because I haven't been able to do it for months. And yes, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but he cares enough about my well-being. It's the wife pulling out the icy hot and the wraps and all the things you need to make your 50-plus husband who wants to play rugby, feel good because it makes him happy. So he's 55 out there getting beat up, but it brings him joy. So you're
But
out
it
there
brought him
cheerleading
joy.
and rooting, and then he comes home and you're icing him down and you're
Right.
greasing him up and be like, it's good, baby. Yeah, that tackle was amazing. Yeah, I know y'all lost. And you're supporting because it's your well-being. Now, you might feel like you're too old for this, but that's not what it is.
So that's so funny.
Go for it.
I remember this is when Katina and I were still married, and
Yes.
my boy Tori Woods, shout out to Woods. We were playing basketball against his nephew, and his nephew and his best friend. So his nephew and his best friend, they're both well over 6 feet tall, and they're spry, and they can dunk. And there's Tori, who's maybe 6'1", and there's me, he's 5'8" with Nikes on.
Right.
And we're old. And I remember, but listen, let me tell you something. We beat them boys in basketball. But we won, but we lost. Because we laid in the back of Tori's truck, hurt. And I just remember Katina coming out, and she was thinking we were ready to go home. But the way my body worked when I was laying in that bed of that truck, she was like, I'm going to tell you what she did. She went inside and brought a pillow and a blanket and laid it across me and under my head. And I'm telling you, I would have slept in the truck bed all night long. But at some point, my body felt better. But to me, that's that investment. Because here's what you said
The
earlier.
investment.
The reciprocity is not. I think when people think reciprocity, they think, what am I gonna get? What am I gonna give? But it's
Yes.
deeper than that. It's I'm
Absolutely.
investing in you
Yes.
because I see victory. And it's not and so when we say things like I brought 5, I got 5 on it. When you know you don't understand reciprocity, when I say I got 5 on it, you focused on the 5.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
I didn't
good.
hear what I
That's
just said.
good.
Didn't hear what I
That's
just
good.
said. When I say I got 5 on it, don't focus on the 5, focus on the I.
Mm.
I said Andre's got
I'm
5 on it. Well,
contributing.
what does that
Yes.
mean? That's the reliability of it. Because I know some folk that'll tell me I got 5 on it, and I'll be like, you ain't finna bring that $5.
Right.
I can't trust you to bring that. I can't
just talking.
rely on you. You just talking because you want the victory, but you don't want to take the struggle that comes with getting the victory.
comes
You ain't
with it.
the sacrifice that comes with it. You ain't come on, man. Like, so that's what I'm saying. It's the investment. But what am I investing? I'm investing me. I got
Yeah.
5 on it.
Yeah.
I got it on. And so so when we're looking at, well, then how do we use reciprocity? Then there's this kind of core quality. So we're looking at the good side and the bad side.
Yep.
The good or the selfless side says at the core of who I am, when I say I got 5 on it, is I'm investing in this table. But what am I investing? Myself. I'm
Myself into the
sharing
good.
myself. And so you're right. I got to know that I can trust that when I put myself on the chopping block, when I put myself on the line, when I put myself on the table, and I'm revealing to you my thoughts, my feelings, my preferences, my character, that's that honesty you were talking about.
Yeah.
This is where I'm saying what I'm bringing to the table is vulnerability, and it's associated with the relationship that we both need to bring on the table. So how do I use it? How do I use the good way? What is the good way, the selfless way that I'm bringing? I'm sharing myself. I've got to trust not only that you will receive what I'm sharing, but you'll know that what I'm sharing will bring success because I'm shaped from the successful trust I can place in myself and in others when I decide to share and my part of the reciprocity. And here's the thing, you said this as well, and I want to make sure that people understood because I didn't want to gloss right over it. You also talked about sharing and making sure that that's a need that needs to be shared. Because some of us will share of ourselves in a way that's only useful to ourselves.
Yeah.
But reciprocity is you got to share of yourself in a way that's useful to the other person. Because there have been some folk that brought stuff to the table, and I looked at it and I said, but I didn't ask for that. Like, I ain't asked for all that.
I don't need it.
I don't
want
need
it.
that.
Didn't ask for it.
I don't need that. That's that dude that's like, I got 5 on it. That dude's like, well, I got the plug. Well, I already got the plug. What do you bring something else? Bring something else to the table. Bring all you bringing is not reciprocity, but repetition. We already got that. Redundancy. We already got that. Like, bring something we don't have, or you just can't be at this table. We'll catch you on the next time. We'll catch you at a different table. And then just make sure you bring what you got early on. So that, don't be just because that's how we have to use it, because I'm telling you, parasites will come and be like, well, I'm bringing this, but we already got that. Well, I just want to tag along then. Nah, that ain't how this works. We can't grow. Matter of fact, you're taking, and that's all you're doing. So the good use of reciprocity is saying, who are you willing to invest yourself in? Because you've got to be able to trust that success is going to come because you're trusting and relying on what others are bringing, and you're trusting and relying on what you bring. So that's the good way of using reciprocity. I'm gonna kick it over to you in terms of what your thoughts are on the good way of using or being shaped by reciprocity.
Absolutely, the selfless ways, and I'm really co-signing everything you already set it up, and so I'll just hit a few points because you nailed it so beautifully. But yeah, awareness, like this notion of giving without being asked to. Like if you can if you know that when I give this and when I share this and when I give of myself, it's not because they asked me to. Because a lot of times when we're thinking about, okay, you asked me to do it, so now I'm going to do it, then we try to kind of catalog that, right? Kind of keep track of it. Well, you asked
Yeah,
me to do
yeah,
it, so
yeah.
now I'm
But
doing
you
it.
asked.
That you asked. And I think just being aware that you can give without being asked to, but awareness can't stand alone. It's really what Berber already said. It's the awareness of I can give without being asked to do it, but then I also am invested in the relationship, which means I'm working to understand the needs, the likes, the desires of that person. That way, what I'm giving without being asked is not giving something that they don't want, like you just mentioned. And so that awareness and that investment in the relationship, and I did put that point that it is work. Investment is work. It's not just,
Yeah,
oh, we're
yeah.
friends and I like you, or oh, we're family and I love you. It's no, I'm working to understand you, working to understand what you need, what you don't need, what you like, what you don't like, what you need that you don't even know that you need, right? So then I can give that
Right,
without you
right.
asking because you didn't even know that you needed it. So it's not, it's just the awareness and the investment in the relationship, which that's
Yes,
often
yes,
what
yes.
happens with reciprocity is we don't want to do the work. We want it to
Right.
be as simple as Berber already said, which is just let me calculate this and I'm going to do this not as an investment in the personal
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this because I'm going to hold it at some point. You know, I'm going to keep that and catalog it. And that's why we don't do it, I think, in a fair space. And that's the last thing I would say
Yeah.
with reciprocity is that it should be fair, but fair doesn't always mean equal, right? And so you have to
Right,
understand that
right.
when you're stepping into it, that it's really about the greater good of the relationship or the partnership or whatever you're building. And so it's the notion of when one spouse takes on all the work so that the other spouse can go back to school or can finish school, right? So
Yeah,
it may
yeah.
not seem fair in terms of the grind that I'm working a full-time job and a part-time job, but it's equal because the greater good, right? Or I should say whether it's fair or whether or not than equal, the greater good is that I know once you get through school, then we're going to come back and we're going to push our family to another
Absolutely.
level, right? And so
Absolutely.
I understand that if you come into that mindset when it comes to the good reciprocity or selfless ways, there are times where you may have to grind out more. Like that example.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember my stepson's senior year, we knew because he was finishing high school, a senior in high school. He's finishing high school, and he was being looked at and scouted by a bunch of different colleges to be recruited as a football star, an athlete. And we set our youngest down, Malachi, down, and basically said to him, "We said, son, this year it may seem like we're putting more
Yeah, that's
effort
it.
and
That's
energy
it.
into Marquise. It may seem like that he's getting more money, he's getting more time, more resources.
Right.
But what we need you to understand is he is in a very critical, season in his life
Mm-hmm.
that it
Mm-hmm.
requires more. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take away from you. But we as a family have to lock arms. He's going to need different things in terms of time, transportation,
Right.
money to
Right.
go on things. And so we wanted, Malachi to just know that every young person has this season. You're going to get there at some point, right? But right
Right.
now, we need you to be the big little brother and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if my brother needs more, if there's something that maybe I can't do, or if only mom can come to this because dad has to go here, or vice versa, I
Right.
understand it's part of the greater good. And so, no, it
Yeah.
may not be equal, but it's just for a season. And I think really effective reciprocity recognizes the season and recognizes what's needed to make sure that
That's good.
nothing turns into enabling and nothing turns
Right.
into a
Right.
space where it can get unhealthy. Because in a healthy environment, reciprocity can be a support system, and it should
Right. It
be.
can. Yeah,
But it has to
absolutely it
be
can.
healthy. It's not
Yes, it
enabling, right?
does.
It's
Yes, it
not
does.
taking it somewhere else, but it's a support system that says, I got 5 on it when you need it. And if sometimes it's 15 you need it, then I got that. And then other times where you get to get 5 on it. But it's going to be based on awareness, right? That you can give without
Mm-hmm.
being asked to. Investment in those
Mm-hmm.
relationships. You do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Do the work to understand the needs, the likes, the desires
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
partnership, and understand that reciprocity should be fair, but fair is not always equal. It's for the greater good. And I think
That's
those
for
are
the
the
greater
selfless
good.
ways.
That's
And I'll
good.
just say, it's work, y'all.
It
That's not
is.
light stepping. That's work.
No, it is. It is. And so in that, and I love it. In that again, we're talking about not the $5, but the I. and the I is the investment. We're talking about who are you in these situations, and yeah, can you do the work? Can you adapt? Some days, like you said, it's 15, other days it's 5. The key there is the I, and it is ends up being this selfless. But now let's look at the flip side, and I'm gonna kick it
Yeah.
right back to you. I want to ask you a question right back to
Yeah.
you is, well, what are some of the bad or the selfish ways that we use reciprocity?
I kept thinking about that song with Nas and Genuine, Owe Me Back Like You Owe Your Taxes.
Oh, yeah.
I forget the name of that song. Owe Me Back Like 40
say
acres,
what's your
40
price.
acres to blacks, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's when we're keeping score. The negative side of reciprocity
my
is that,
goodness,
quote, you owe me. That's just your mindset. And so while there may be a smile on your face that says, yes, I'm happy to give and to do this, the smile actually comes from this notion of you're going to owe me, or I'm going to look
Yes.
for
Yeah,
something
yeah.
coming back. And so I think in a simpler label would be transactional, right? That it's this
Transactional, that's
notion
good.
of, like I'm making a requirement to this giving. Okay, I'm gonna track it that says, yes, I'm giving this, but I'll expect it back. And this is what's so cold-blooded about that kind of transactional and more selfish reciprocity is sometimes you won't even know that the person is doing that.
Right.
Because they'll
Oh,
smile
yeah.
in your face, right?
Yeah,
They'll make you
yeah.
think that, oh yeah, I'm happy to help you, and oh yeah, and then
But
as
they take it,
soon
they
as
keep an
they
account.
want something,
Woo,
as
you
soon
remember?
as
You
they
remember when
need
I did this?
something,
Yeah.
as soon as you have something, they'll
Yeah.
say, oh, I always do for you, or you remember when? They always
Oh
come back,
boy.
and then you realize,
Listen.
whoa,
Then they
I
posting on
thought
social media. Everybody around when you give it, but as soon as you need
Right.
something, nobody know you.
Bitter.
Really? Bitter.
Bitter
Come
Betty. So
on.
I think the core is keeping score, keeping tabs, right? How
Yeah.
frequently they remind you, and that's the negative space. And the only thing I want to add to that in terms of reciprocity, that's selfish or the bad side of it. The selfish and bad side of it also typically has a secrecy to it.
Ooh,
And what
yep.
I mean by that is they'll hold it, especially when it's supposed to be a safe place, because reciprocity has layers to it. Sometimes
does.
the 5 that you're giving me is because I am vulnerable. It's
Right.
because I am in a situation.
Right.
And I
Woo.
trust you to help me get out of the situation. And when
Yes.
someone is going to use that against you in a harmful way, they'll play
Yeah.
into the secrecy. They'll play into the, you can tell me, I got you, I'm covering you, hey, don't trip. And you'll see them as soon as they get a chance, expose it, or they just dangle those secrets over your head until they drain you dry. And it still comes
Yeah.
back to that transactional space. And so
It
it's like my brother
does.
said, there even still is an emphasis on the I. The difference for the selfish-minded person is that the I is about filling up their coffers. The I is about, it's not that I'm bringing anything, it's that I want you to remember that I was the one that did it. And that's not
Ooh,
what we
Jesus.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so for me, and I'm just gonna say one thing to it. It's for me, it's the focus isn't on the I unless it's the way you said it, but the focus really is on the 5. Just don't you ever
Yes.
forget what I brought.
About
Not the
them
fact that I
ducats.
brought myself, but what I brought. I brought this. We couldn't have this if it wasn't for my $5. And I'd be wanting to say, your little old $5, I could have got that from anybody. But no, but see, it absolutely is. It's transactional. That word is so tantamount to understanding that.
Yeah.
But look at what it does when you're dealing with selfish people. So you definitely grandiloquently, beautifully put how we can use reciprocity on the bad way, the selfish way. But look at what it does to the one who's trying to do good. Then you end up putting an edge of selfishness on them, because I've been with people who saw me as a transaction, and they put an edge of selfishness on me, because then I started saying, I'm not going to let you take advantage of my value. I'm not going to let you take advantage of my giftedness. You're not going to take for granted how I'm gifted. And so it put a little selfishness on me, because people will
100%.
absolutely use you for success. So I moved from, I got 5 on it, and I moved to Reverend Snoop Doggy Dogg. Everybody got their cup, but ain't nobody chipped in.
Right.
But
What you
that's
bringing?
right. So that becomes that's not the way I want to live. I don't want to
No.
live where I'm saying, I'm blessed with this, but because you didn't chip in, I'm not giving you no. No, I
Mm-hmm.
want to live with
Mm-hmm.
everybody saying, hey, I got something in on this. And so really then does that not get us to this point where when it comes to the relationship of reciprocity, where now we're having to find a balance between selflessness and
Yes.
selfishness. So now
Yep.
we're now we've learned relationships of reciprocity that we need a little bit of both. And I'm not saying that's the way it's supposed to be, but that's
Right.
how we end
But
up living
yeah,
because
got to
my
navigate it.
personal balance should be ends up being based on how I feel about the relationship and the other aspects of what makes this relationship social. Because at the end, I read this quote, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna quote it here. It said, "Work is about a search for daily meaning as well as daily
Mm.
bread." Now think
There you
about that
go.
for a
That's
second.
good.
That's where we are in our reciprocity relationships. It's about, do I mean enough? I have enough value, but at the same time, are you gonna help me eat at the same time? And
Mm.
so
Jeez.
where what we want ideally is just simply to be able to say, I'm gonna bring what's valuable. You're gonna bring what's valuable. We gonna eat. But now I've gotten to the point where I'm saying, if I'm gonna invest, I got to worry about my value, but I also got to worry about my ability to eat. I shouldn't have
Yeah.
to worry about both in my work.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
when you may be in a difficult relationship that's not as reciprocal as you need it to be.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at what are we dealing with when we're talking about givers and takers. What I'm realizing is givers seek out ways to be helpful and give to others, whereas
Yes.
takers focus on getting as much as possible from others. So now it begs the question, is there ever a point, and I'll kick this to you, Nikki, is there ever a point where you
Mm-hmm.
need to stop giving?
Yeah. That's so good. And yes, when your giving is becoming enabling, when there's no growth in the giving, and there should be growth for you, as well as growth for the other person. Because we already established reciprocity builds trust, right? Which
It
means
does. It
there's
does.
giving here, and then there's giving there, there's receiving here, there's receiving there. And when it's healthy, it should just, continue. But if you have to stop and ask yourself, do you believe that this other person is inclined to contribute? And if you know in your heart of hearts they are not inclined to contribute, and I didn't say what, but contribute something
Right.
that promotes the
Right.
growth, something that promotes the growth of the relationship. If you know, and this is how do you know? Their track record. It's year
Right.
12.
Right. That's it. That's it.
It's
Yep.
year
Right.
12.
Right. Right.
So, are they anything? Are they contributing in any way?
Right. Yeah, like
Can
like
we make
like
a
I've been
list?
giving. I've been
We
giving the
got one
entire
bullet
time.
point, right? And if you know, and that's a hard lesson in truth sometimes to face, but if you
It
know
is.
they're not giving, they have not proven to be giving, and you know after so much time they're not inclined to contribute, then absolutely it's a good
Time to cut them
indication that
off.
you should stop giving or at least make some sort of modification. And then this is the other thing I'll say too, because I think this is important for those of us on the giving side of this, in particular. Reciprocity, as Brober already mentioned, it cannot be an obligation, right? It cannot be
It
an
can't.
obligation, but
Yeah.
you can sometimes have the ability, and this is a blessing that God can give you, to give infinitely. Some of us are
Mhm.
blessed,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
it does. The giving never it won't stop. You can have family members, friends that can ask you for things, and you're able to just give it, and it will never impact you negatively in terms of your
Mhm.
resources.
Mhm.
But
Right.
has it become an obligation? And let me help some of y'all. Has it become an obligation that you'll still smile at them and you don't even blink at giving them the money or giving them this, but then you call all your other friends and be like, man, they did it again. Well, now you're making it an
Right.
obligation for your friends for your
Right.
complaining.
Right. Right.
So it's
Right.
it's now
Ooh.
taxing you emotionally. It's now
Yeah.
taxing you mentally. Do you have that
Yeah.
emotional space to give up? Do you have that mental space to give
Yeah.
up? Even though maybe your
Yeah.
pockets are fat, even though maybe you have an extra car that they can borrow, even though maybe whatever the resource is, it's limitless or you have space to give it. If it's turned into an obligation, it still impacts you. And that's not
Yes, it does.
reciprocity. It's never
It's not.
obligatory.
It's not.
And
It's
so if
not.
you've gotten so casual with that you've forgotten that piece of it, then you're probably spending some juice in a different area. Yeah, you can keep giving them the money, but you're
Absolutely.
complaining to your spouse. You're complaining to your best friend. I can complain to my brother about stuff, and pretty soon he'll be like, "You ain't tired yet?"
Right. Right. Right.
And that's all he says. And that makes me go back and says, I need to get. So then I don't talk about it anymore, because what he's saying is you've turned whatever you're doing into an obligation, and now you're bending my ear when you clearly
Right.
know they're not inclined to contribute. So let it go. You ain't tired yet?
You
Okay,
know,
until you get tired. Go
right?
ahead.
See, and you're speaking to where our giving turns wrong, right? And there are two things you're saying. Is my resources, and if God's giving you resources, man, God bless you. But when your giving of your resources turns resentful, something has
Come
happened.
on.
And
That's
here's
it.
where giving is wrong. Giving is a virtue, right? That's why I said if God's
Ooh,
blessed you to give, it's a
that's
virtue.
good.
The reason why we turn resentful, because giving our virtue is no longer being protected.
That's good.
Right?
My. Yep.
When you're in the right relationship with someone, they'll protect your resourcefulness so it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
turn
good.
resentful. They'll
That's
protect
good.
because they see it as a virtue. So they'll protect your
Hmm.
virtuosity, your generosity, your energy. When they're no longer protected in their efforts, you become resentful. And if you're in a
Yeah.
relationship where you are resentful, chances are you're not being protected in what you're giving. Your virtue
Yep.
isn't being protected. So that moves into the
That's
next
good.
question.
Yeah.
When do you need to ask for more? When do you need
Yeah.
to turn to the one you're in a relationship with and say, hey, you got to give more? For you, Nikki,
Yeah.
when does that happen?
It goes back to that awareness, and you just said it. When I realize I'm not being protected, my virtue isn't being protected. I'm carrying the weight on my own, and I'm wise enough to know that I need help, because for some of us, you're not even self-aware enough to know
Yes,
that I
yes.
need help here. So then you're leaving the person, you're giving them a pass because you haven't stopped to say, wait a minute, I am carrying more than I should be carrying. I'm aware that I'm
Right,
carrying more
right.
than I should be carrying. And I need to speak up about the fact that I need some contribution. I need some reciprocity here. And so it really, you have to start to question, is in the relationship, is there empathy? Is there support, or is that
Is there
wavering?
compassion?
And is there compassion? And if those things are wavering, because sometimes it can start that way and then waver. So if you see it starting to waver, that's where you say, hey, I need a little more here. Yes, we started there. Because sometimes when you ask a person to reciprocate or to give more, and they have been giving in different, in earlier instances, they may say, well, what are you talking about? You acting like I don't give. And
Right.
it's not an attack on what's happening in the past. What you're saying is, in this moment, in this circumstances where we are right now, I need a little more. And that's why the relationship has to be healthy at the base of it, because again, it's not
Absolutely.
equal. And so if that compassion, if the understanding, awareness is not there, if you don't trust that even in maybe this moment it's gotten weaker but it's going to get better, you have to speak up, because you can't just give up all your virtue unprotected, because it's going to take you out. It's going to cost you in other areas of your life. So you got to speak to it. But what about you, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you actually said it perfectly. You absolutely said it perfectly. I think there are times where I've been in great relationships where I've been able to say, I can't give as much as I need to here. I need you to step up for me here because
Sure.
here's where I can give more. So
Yeah,
reciprocity is also sacrificial. And we
that's
have to
good.
learn. So you have to know when you need to step up more and do more
Yeah,
and where you need to
yeah,
ask, but it's sacrificial. There are
yep,
so many lessons that we learn in being able to invest in a relationship sacrificially that
yeah,
helps with the relationship of reciprocity. It helps both parties grow in the relationship and grow towards whatever it is, whatever your goal is, whatever your hashtag couple goal is. We
right,
got to
right.
give sacrificially in order to do it. And when we do that, there's really this kind of estimation of who we
Mm-hmm.
are in a
Mm-hmm.
social relationship and what we bring to the table. So it's going to go
Yeah,
back to, investment. And that's
Yeah.
also contextual. So every single table isn't the same. So it might not be
Right.
money this time. It may be emotional support this time, but give it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
give it sacrificially because both of y'all are going to win in the end. I can't tell you how many times in a relationship where I'm listening and I'm not listening to give knowledge or wisdom. I'm listening because that's what I give.
Yeah.
In that moment, this person needs to pour out or they're going to implode. So I give.
Yeah.
I give by listening. So
Yep.
don't focus on the five, focus on the I. What do you got
Yeah.
that you're investing? What do they have that they're investing? Sacrificing is a let's get through what we need now because there's a future focus in this investment that's going to be a blessing to both of us. And
Yeah.
just before we go into the transformational perspective,
Mm-hmm.
are there times where you have to honor the reciprocity even when it's hard? Are there times where you have to make sure you're giving even when you don't necessarily want to give? What does that social behavior look like? Or just and let me say this before I kick it to
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
This might be that part in the episode where there's, we're going to get some comments, some emails saying, "Yeah, I ended this relationship because I realized that, they weren't giving. I realized that I needed to
Right.
end this." Like I'm not like I'm listen. I'm all listen. I realize marriages might end because of this, friendships might end because of this, partnerships may end because of this. And you know what? I'm gonna say God knew, and so I ain't gonna
God knew.
put the blame on myself. God knew. But are there times where you want to give up, but you need to honor the reciprocity in the relationship, even
Yeah.
when it's hard? I'll kick that to you.
And then this was a tricky one when I was trying to unpack this. And so I came up with three things that I think that are important because, like you already mentioned, it's sacrificial. And a lot of times when we have to honor it, even it's hard, it's going to be sacrificial. But the one that I think benefits everybody no matter what, and this is really more of an example of when you should honor or when taking this step is a space for reciprocity, but it's honored even though it's hard. It's really forgiveness. I was really thinking about, when it comes to forgiveness, forgiveness doesn't require both parties to participate,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
opens the door for so
Yes.
much more that can impact all the parties involved. And
Yeah.
so when I was thinking about this, whether the person I'm choosing to forgive participates or not, it still opens the door, one, for me to have healing and wholeness. But as a result of that,
That's good.
then anybody that was is directly related or indirectly related to it, they get to see that healing and that wholeness in place, and it gives space for that person then to fess up for their faults or to see that there's a way to get past it after they do apologize or whatever the case may be. But forgiveness is such a great example of how you have to individually choose to let something
Mm-hmm.
go that
Mm-hmm.
probably hurt you and came from a really awful space. But in doing so, you actually are opening up the space for reciprocity. And that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that you need to forgive
Yeah.
someone and invite them back into your life. That does not mean that what they've done is okay. It's not per
Right.
se.
Right.
What it does mean is that in honoring this space of forgiveness, I'm demonstrating maybe to my family, to my children, to my friends, I'm opening the space for God to come in and
Right.
heal and wholeness. And I am 100% opening up space for the future, because when we harbor unforgiveness, then future relationships, future business partnerships, future friendships, all of those can be thwarted and blocked if you don't if you don't forgive and let it go. Because just like Bro
Right.
mentioned, that's where you get that taker mindset, right? And I've been burnt in business
Right.
before,
Right.
so now I'm going to be aggressive in business. I've been burnt in relationships before, so now I'm going to just burn people, right? And so forgiveness
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
space of reciprocity that when you open it up, you're literally opening up not only your own healing and wholeness, but so many other things for your
That's so
future
good.
and for the person
That's
that's
so
also
good.
connected to it. And I'm only speaking what I've had to work through, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the people, you've heard this analogy that unforgiveness is like swallowing poison, right? And then you're just killing yourself. You're
Yeah.
keeping it in, and you're the only one that suffers from it. So that was one example. I'll give two others, and I'll kick it back to you. But honor reciprocity when it stops unhealthy cycles or patterns in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
If honoring this means I'm going to stop some unhealthy cycles or patterns, then I have to go through how tough it is. So if giving is creating
Yeah.
unhealthy lifestyle or draining your life, then you need to stop giving. Right, you need to break that
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Right, if helping my family in a way that's tough, but I know it's going to change the way they behave, it's going to change the way that they walk through life, then I need to give in that way. The example that I have is I remember when my brother and I actually, when Andre was telling Mom that you needed a new start in Florida, and so she was
Yeah.
sharing this story with me that at that point in your life, I think you had gotten through high school, and now you were maybe in your first or second year, or maybe first year in a community college, but just a lot of
Mm-hmm.
life circumstances had hit you. And it's not my story to share that, so I'll let you share that another time. But what happened is now you had gotten to the space where Wichita had just too many bad memories for you.
Yeah,
And that's where you
absolutely.
were in life. It just had
That's
too
where I
many bad
was. Mm-hmm.
memories. Everywhere that you looked, you felt like you needed a change. Well, for our mom, you were her firstborn, and now you're asking her, "Hey, I need a fresh start in Florida. I need to not only
Mm-hmm.
move, but I need to move across the country to a whole different state."
Right.
You're her
Right.
firstborn. You're her first child. She doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
resources at that moment to just make it all okay and make sure that she could
Mm-hmm.
buy you a
Yeah.
place and take care of it. And she was stressed and worried, so she calls our grandmother. And our grandmother, who we've talked about the fact
I
on some other
remember this.
episodes, that our grandmother has, she had two children that died. So my mom
Yeah.
was the only one of her children that survived for, I think I've talked about in other episodes, but, very different and difficult mindset about how you protect your children. So she is saying to our mom, absolutely not. You do not let him
Yeah.
move
I
across the
remember that.
country.
I
You do
remember
not
that.
let him do that. You can't be there to help him. You can't be there to protect him. That is a bad decision. And that comes from her truth, right? Of, literally
Right.
watching
Her
two of her
truth. Yeah.
kids die in her arms. But what mom knew about honoring reciprocity, even when it's hard, is that my son is now, number one, venturing into manhood. So
Yes.
while I'm, a parent, we talked about this, now I'm moving into coaching and advisement.
Right.
Two, she understood what you needed was a fresh start.
That's it.
And you had selected that particular state. So as much as it broke her heart, as much as it terrified her, as much as it was overwhelming for her, as much as she didn't even have enough money to put in your pocket to send you off, what she said was, doing this is going to stop an unhealthy cycle or pattern in his
Yeah.
life. And the greater good for my son and our family is to let him go.
Right. Right.
And I don't want to honor it, but I know that if I give this, if I sow this into him, it will reap a harvest. And
Yeah.
now, years later, his younger sister went to Florida and had one of the best times of her life. He gets his degrees there, both of his degrees there. No, two of the three, right?
Two
Like
of
so
the
much
four.
was birthed out of two of the four. There we go. So much was birthed out of her honoring a space that she
That
understood.
space.
This is a way that I can give. This
Yeah.
is the way, and it hurts, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, and I don't want to send it out. And so that's the thing, is sometimes it is tough. Sometimes you're doing something to break a cycle that's unhealthy, to break a pattern, to create a new pattern that's healthy, and you got to stand flat-footed and do it. And the last one I'll say is, give and honor reciprocity when it helps you to maintain a clear sense of self.
Yeah.
Period.
That's it. Period. I love it.
You
Absolutely
know who
love
you
it.
are, and if you need to honor this space, then you do it. I am
Then you do it.
naturally, and my brother may not agree, but 99% of the world agrees that I am naturally a kind person.
Yeah.
And I'm
No, that's
often
not true.
kind. It's so true. Don't listen to him. I'm kind often when it hurts, right? But I remember talking to my brother and saying, "Ooh, bro, I feel like putting hands and da-da-da." Like, I had situations that made me frustrated, and he always would say, "Don't you ever let anybody pull you out of your character.
That's
I don't
it.
care what it is.
I don't care what it is. That's it.
I don't care what it is." Now, does that mean I get bullied or pushed over? No, he's not saying
No.
that. What he's saying is there's a way to honor your authentic, clear sense of self, but keeping who you are while you need to do what you need to do. And
Yeah.
so if whatever you're dealing with doesn't maintain who you are, then that's not a situation to honor it. But if honoring this makes sure that you know who you are and you can maintain that, and it's tough to do it, you do it. And there are times where I continue to be kind even when it hurts, but I understand I need to let them know that they're not going to, I'll say it this way, then I'll hush. You're not going to pull me into your chaos. I'm going to pull you into my
That's it.
peace.
There you go. There you go. So I'm a run through the transformation perspective, counterpoint, and bottom line, and we'll get to these quick shots. But there's honoring, and it's for the reasons you just so beautifully put. And really honoring, even when it's hard, is really more about, you said you were going to bring this to the table. You said, and even when it's hard, and it will be hard at times, you still got to honor that. So I agree with everything you said. But then there are times, and so we're going to get in this transformational perspective, and here's this counterpoint. Then there are times where not giving is actually honoring and therefore gaining for you when you don't give. And I remember going back to something you said, one of the reasons why I needed a fresh start out of Kansas. I remember one time I was in high school, and I was hanging with some guys from the neighborhood, a Rockboro neighborhood, and they were in a particular gang, and because I played sports with them, I knew them, there was this level of affiliation with them. And I remember one time they were literally going to fight another gang, and I happened to be with them. And so the question was, one of them asked, "Dre, you coming?" And I remember getting on and riding with them. And this is so funny because this was back in the day, we ain't had no cars. We were literally on the
Right.
city bus on our
Right.
way going to a gang fight. And I'm dead serious. But here's the thing. I knew what I was going to bring to the table was what I knew about fighting. I knew I was heading into a situation where I wasn't a part of the gang, but they were friends. So there was an affiliation. So in other words, hear me well, I wasn't a part of the table, but I still wanted to take a seat at the table because I knew what I could bring to the table. And I just remember all of them got off. And just before I was getting ready to get off, one of them pushed me back on. The door closed and the bus drove off. And when I asked about that later, I remember that person saying to me, "This wasn't for you. You've got bigger and better things going on. This wasn't for you. You didn't belong here. You're going to college." And I'm saying this trying to hold back a tear. The people I rode the bus with, none of them are alive today. None of them. I'm the only one that's alive that rode that bus there. And so there are definitely times where not giving to a table because you don't belong in that table actually gains more for you. And so you got to know not just who to invite to the table, but what tables don't belong to you, because you're going there to die. You're not going there to grow. And you got to be able to say that, no, I know I can bring some stuff to the table, but this ain't my table. This ain't my table. And so that's that counterpoint to everything we're saying as well. Not only do you need to know who to bring to the table, what to bring to the table, what to invest in, how to invest, but you also need to know when you don't need to be at that particular table. Because the bottom line here is that while we should always have a heart to give and give your best, even when it's hard, we also need to know when and where to give, because we need to know that we'll grow in our giving, but some tables aren't meant for you to give, and some people aren't meant for you to give, because you don't grow in when there's just taking. You don't grow just because you sat down at the table. You grow because there's the relationship of reciprocity. You grow in it because you sat down at the right table with the right people, the right motive, and the right relationship. So that's kind of like our bottom line here as well.
Excellent.
In this particular episode.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's jump right into the quick shot.
Yeah, the quick shot. So for this one, I actually did not. Nikki, you actually saw this one, but man, it tickled me
Yeah.
when you sent it to me. And we're talking about the right table, the right time, giving to the right relationship. And it was this Instagram reel that you sent to me, where this father comes to his kid and is like, "Let me hold $2." until tomorrow, and I'll get you back tomorrow. And I love the kid. He's like, nah, this ain't my table. I'm not finna give on it, because the kid responds saying, well, then let's just wait till tomorrow. Like, whatever it is you want, let's just wait till tomorrow. Like, if you listen, if you can get it back to me tomorrow, then whatever it is that this table is, let's just wait till tomorrow. It can wait till tomorrow. Then I ain't got to give you $2, and you be all right. And so I love that. Know the table. Know your table. Know when to sit at the table. Know when to bring what you got to the table. Some tables can actually wait till tomorrow, and it won't cost you so much. So that's my quick shot for this one. I love that one. I died laughing when I saw that one.
It was so cute, that little boy. So, okay, so for me, and I was thinking about the quick shot. So I just want to throw out a couple of quick examples that I'll call gentle ways to remind people or get people to reciprocate, right?
Okay,
and I'm using air quotes on the gentle. So I'm going to give you an example of a way that you can remind or encourage someone to reciprocate, and you let me know if you think it's a viable strategy.
Okay.
Okay, here's the first one. You can text them cute animal pictures with a reminder text, "It's your turn to wash the dishes."
No, that's not, no.
So like a kitten, or like a little teddy bear or something.
No, I'm taking the picture of the dishes, and you here now.
You're not gonna use the soft, like, kitten or cuddly something. Say,
no, that doesn't need a gentle reminder. No, that's a you here right now, straightway, here to forthwith.
All right, here's another one. Convenient. People have actually done this one. Conveniently leave your wallet at home at the next hangout because you paid the last time.
Oh, you listen. I do that. I do that, but because I have my phone with me and I have Apple Pay, I do that. But listen, I just because I ain't finna, I'm too old to be dining and dashing, but I absolutely will leave my wallet at home. Be like, I forgot my wallet. You got it though this time, right? And just in case, though, I'll do Apple Pay, just in case. But no, I'm with that one. I'm absolutely with that one.
All right, here's another one. Throw them subtle hints every time you're around them. I just love the relationship of the father and the daughter on Yellowstone. You see how much he just does things for her?
Yeah, that's it. Yes, but my hints are coming from Scarface, Godfather. Listen, because some people don't understand subtleties. Like, some people don't understand. Yeah, some folk, you just got by. Did you love the way Hitler handled that situation? Did you love the way Joseph Stalin handled that situation? I'll let you know. You're
going to have them on the History Channel watching all the wars atrocities.
Right. Listen, I need their neck to start twitching when I throw a hint. So they'll be like, you know what, I owe you something,
I better get up and do that. All right. You overindulge in the items or the things that they like as a hint. So they say, oh, I really wanted to eat some of those potato chips. And you go, mm-hmm.
Right.
So did I.
Yes. I'm absolutely using that.
You gonna drink all their alcohol, eat all their things?
No, I ain't gonna drink it all. I'm gonna leave a swaller left. I'm gonna leave a swaller. I'm gonna leave a corner.
See how that feels?
That's what I'm feeling. See how that feels
when you don't think about anybody else? You see how that feels?
Right. That's what I'm leaving.
Let's do maybe one more here because we got to round this out. Okay, how about this? Ask a person who owes you money if you can borrow some money from them.
Yes, and then ask them for the exact amount that they owe you. I'm like, can I borrow $28.13? Why is that? Think about it. Think about it.
After you cash at me.
Right. Think about it.
Oh,
yep,
God.
Absolutely.
I like
to the penny.
I like it. Okay, one more. Get a friend or a family member to ask them to reciprocate on your behalf. Andre would really like it if.
Nope. Because I don't need you sending a message back through my friend or family, because then I'll be mad at them. I told you not to leave without my money. See, I'll turn a friend and a family member to a hitman. I'll turn them into a hitman in a second. And listen, when you ask them, they'll give it to you. take out the left kneecap. Take out the left kneecap.
I love it.
I'm telling you.
I think my strategy is a sticky note. I just put sticky notes all over the house.
No, because I will lie. I didn't see that sticky note.
Like, there'd be 27 of them. You see none of those. Not
I
one.
ain't see that. Like, I ain't see that sticky note. Nope. I'm telling you now. Pay me my money. $2. Pay me my money.
I love it. All right, bro. What do you have for the final blow?
So, the biggest thing I want, everyone to gather from this, this conversation is the value that when you bring to the table, when someone else brings to the table, we all gonna eat. We all gonna go higher in our value. And how do you safeguard the relationship? Because that's the biggest thing. You got to invest in somebody. You got to invest in something, and that's how you see kind of a return on investment. And that's the biggest thing right there. What do you give so that everybody gets more? And making sure that who you come into the table with, they give as well. There's actually a theological premise to this. There's a verse I love that hopefully kind of shares that message. It's 2 Corinthians 8:14. It says, "At this present time, your abundance being a supply for their need, so that their abundance also may become a supply for your need, that there may be growth and equality for everybody's need." You give to those who are willing to give back, and everybody gets blessed in the end. But you can't hold back your abundance, and they can't hold back their abundance. And when my abundance comes to your abundance, we all get a double portion of abundance in the end. So always rock with people that understand the relationship of reciprocity. Always connect with people that understand the growth that comes when everybody gives what they're gifted in doing. Stop rocking with people that don't bring anything to the table. Stop going to tables you weren't supposed to be at. And stop going to a table not knowing what it is that you specifically give. Always make sure you understand the table, understand your gifts, and understand the relationship of those coming to the table with you. That is my final blow.
Fantastic. All right, well, we're going to round out this episode. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Please help us build the Savage Siblings community. Like, share, comment, leave a review, subscribe, send this to your favorite Savage siblings so we can build this up. And perhaps you have an example of a healthy or unhealthy example of reciprocity, or you want to talk about who should and shouldn't come to the table. We want to hear about that as well, so please share that with us. Huge shout out to our amazing team of people who make this all possible. Dwayne McClendon, Kyle Davis, our sound editors, Ronnie Maxwell of Maxwell Music, our music producer.
Maxwell Music.
Keith Cross of K-Cross Photography, the amazing photos, and we're speaking into existence,
K-Cross.
The merchandising, and of course, our parents for their DNA, all the funny life lessons and stories that we're able to
parentals.
share. And last and certainly not least you, the listeners, we are so glad that you're here, and we will see you next time. Please remember, don't go through life alone. Take care.
Peace. Love y'all.